Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. First off, I want to mention we are all thinking of you in this weather community. If you're dealing with the impacts of Ernesto, some of the scenes coming out, small islands, bigger islands, we've seen some damage, lots of power outages, and the flooding ongoing. Know that we are thinking of you. You can find some of that love in the comments. Here is Ernesto. It is going to get a lot stronger. Winds are eventually going to get up. Not right now, but as we go over the next just couple days, 120 miles per hour up to about 130 miles per hour. This is going to be a major hurricane, and it does have bigger implications down the road for Bermuda and potentially even parts of eastern Canada. So I want to look ahead to that. Now, first thing is first, what's going on now, still these rain bands moving in. The center of it is with this blob up here, right? The center has moved off about 120 miles to the north now of Puerto Rico, but those rain bands, the tail of this, continues to filter in some heavy weather at times. So it's still ongoing. Almost all of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands under a flood warning because of the tail action of this. As this lifts to the north, it just feeds off of that moisture in the Caribbean and filters in even more rain. So we're going to continue to see that. It did stay right on track. I wish it weakened. It didn't, of course, but it did stay on track. And thank you for taking the time to prepare over the last few days and heeding the advice. So thank you for your trust. Now, going forward, I'm going to show you this as it moves up toward Bermuda. It is going to be a major hurricane. And in this area here, not seeing signs of development, but this will bump up our rain chance a little bit. The models sometimes don't even pick up on it, but know that I'm watching that. No crazy signs of development out of that. And then we'll keep an eye on this next area that comes off. This piece here may be a little bit too far north. The air is pretty stable out here to develop. That would be a good thing. I don't want conditions conducive for development, so that would be a good thing. This is obviously the major player here. This right now winds at about 75 to 80 miles per hour. Still the tropical storm winds. Parts of Puerto Rico, if you're in those rain bands, and the British and U.S. Virgin Islands with that flooding. Then it's going to take a curl right up near Bermuda. I do expect it to be a major hurricane or close to it nearby. Bermuda by the time we get into later on Friday into Saturday, and then moving right up very close, too close now to either Nova Scotia and or Newfoundland. So I'm going to zoom out and show you that map. Here's a look at the model, and you can see here all the models, these squiggly lines. These are computers, and they just try to gauge what's going on in the environment, as I do too, behind the scenes, and I kind of piece together what these models are seeing. So they're all in good agreement of swinging this very close to Bermuda. Some have the center just to the east, which would be a little bit better. That would keep us on the so-called better side of the storm. There's really no good side of a hurricane, but the west side, typically the winds are not as bad to the east, but others have it either going right over Bermuda or back to the west. And then very close to Nova Scotia, and then at least the potential of clipping by Newfoundland. What happens up here is still to be determined, but know that I'm watching that. Now, as far as the increase goes, we're now here, this is a day out, 2 days out, 3 days out. These are the same squiggly lines, right? But this is showing the strength. These computers are saying, hey, this is going to be over the next 24 hours a Category 1 hurricane, and the most have it as a Category 2, and some clip it into Category 3, which would be major hurricane. And I do believe it'll be a major hurricane because aside from the models, I'm looking at the environment. There's really nothing that will stop it over the next couple days from really ramping up and getting those winds much, much stronger. Now, as for additional rain is concerned, it just depends on where the bands of rain set up. My friends in Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, we could still get an additional 4 inches of rain. That's on top of what we already have, or 100 millimeters of rain. This batch may be a little bit over here, or it could be a little bit over here. Just kind of watching the tail end of that. But please use some caution. A lot of kind of bad stuff happens right after a storm and folks try to get out and about. And I know you need to, but be mindful of the tree branches that may be loose and that could still come down with some of those gusty winds. And of course, watching the power grids a mess, down power lines, all that sort of thing. So please be mindful of that. Now, here's the big picture. Then I'll zoom down, just taking it through it. Here's Bermuda, and you see how this really gets wrapped up. Conditions do become conducive for development. A major hurricane getting close to Bermuda. This is by Thursday night. So you could see this kind of lifting up toward Bermuda. Then just depending on the timing of it, sometime on Friday, especially later in the day on Friday, some of those conditions will go downhill quickly, and the potential of hurricane conditions moving in later on Friday And then the American model has the center very close by, in which would put Bermuda and actually the eye wall of this. I'll zoom down to Bermuda in a moment, and then lifting up to the north. And then it will be a wait and see on what happens up toward Canada. But I'll have a good heads up on that for you over the next couple days. And watching these tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa. Now, here's this setup. So here we are. Here are my friends in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, just to give you a sampling. Coast of Africa. Here is Ernesto, areas of high pressure. These are the blockers. One's over there, one's over here. That's why it's going to the north. It could split them. It could go right up to the north, right up here. This front kind of helping to drag it up there. So the blockers have moved away. That's why it's moving to the north. Unfortunately, it is moving right toward Bermuda at this point, and it will intensify. Now, things get very complex after that. So this is by the time we get into Friday evening, potential of the hurricane conditions moving in right into Bermuda. So you see it here, powerful system, Category 2, Category 3 hurricane at this point. This area of high pressure is way off over here. So this is still going to lift to the north. We've got a front over here, but what's going to happen is a little sneaky area of high pressure is going to try to build in. That's going to be the key for everything for my friends in Canada. Let me show you that. Let's just go here. This is on Saturday. By Saturday, you see here's this system. Now, give or take 12 hours or so as far as impacts for Bermuda, late Friday into Saturday moving in. And then look how this area of high pressure starts to build in. That is the thing. Remember, the areas of high pressure are just the blockers. So if this starts to build in quickly, this can't necessarily just quickly escape here. It would actually kind of get pushed back. Now, the European model has been going back and forth, like all the models have, as far as what happens with that little area of high pressure. The European model has this kind of working its way right into Nova Scotia, but a model run ago, it had it more over here. But point being, with that sneaky area of high pressure, this is a threat for Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, watching New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. So please, thank you for sharing this information and passing the word out. Hopefully that area of high pressure is weak and it kind of hooks before then. I don't wish this on anyone, so that will be the hope as we get down the road. Now, here are the winds here. Still, Puerto Rico, British U.S. Virgin Islands, gustier winds, even over toward St. Martin, over toward Antigua, Barbuda. Breezy at times as we go throughout the day, but there's the core of the winds. Look at the yellow showing up. Winds of 90 miles per hour, or 145 kilometers an hour. This is by Tuesday afternoon, and we'll see even more. Some of the greens getting in there. Those are winds of 125 miles per hour right there, moving right toward Bermuda. You see this lifting up. Now, as I was telling you a moment ago, the models are going to switch around. This could be a little bit over here, a little bit over here, but either way, in Bermuda, we are definitely making those preparations. Late on Friday, we could have those hurricane conditions moving in Friday night into Saturday, and then we'll be watching. I'll know before then. We'll know what's going to happen as this works its way closer to Canada. So look at this closer look. Here's Bermuda right here, right? And you can see the winds, kilometers an hour, miles per hour. This is by 3 o'clock on Friday. The hurricane force winds would really be this yellow and red shading here. So if this model were to be accurate, that would put Bermuda right in the eye wall. This would be the center of it. Now, I mentioned it being more, I may have said this backwards, but more to the east would be better. I may have said that backwards before. I'll just go back and check. More to the east would be better. So we can nudge more to the east. That would keep some of the heaviest weather away. But as of now, almost all the models are taking this somewhere just either to the west, on top of, or just to the east of Bermuda by the time we get into this weekend. This would be Saturday morning with hurricane conditions around, and a strong one at that. Category 2, those are winds of 96 miles per hour to 110 miles per hour, or 154 kilometers an hour to 177. So it could be somewhere in that that range. Or it could be Category 3, winds of 111 miles per hour to 129 miles per hour, or 178 kilometers an hour to 208 kilometers an hour. You get the idea. Very strong winds. And these are the sustained winds, so the gust would be even higher than that. So in Bermuda, we are in full action mode at this point. All the preps need to be done by Friday and not Friday night, because I mentioned the conditions will go down quickly on Friday. Best to have those preps done by Friday at noon. Bermuda, you handle these systems so very well, but this one, just because of the intensity, hopefully it's a miss one way or the other, which sometimes happens, but we need to take the preps anyway. but because it's going to be a Category 2 or a Category 3, again, a big-time system that's going to be close by, please make the preparations and have those done by midday on Friday. Then we switch to the north, anywhere from Nova Scotia back toward Newfoundland, and of course just inland. We are in monitor mode now. What I would do is start initial planning, not necessarily full preparations, but planning. You're thinking, hey, if I wake up tomorrow and it still looks like it may be coming at us, this is what I'm going to start doing right away. So we're in initial planning mode. We're in monitor mode right here from Nova Scotia up toward Newfoundland, watching Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. All indications are this stays off to the east of the United States, but in these locations here, monitor mode with the initial planning going on through the day today. And you see it all reflected in those seas. Those swells are going to be with us. Dangerous rip currents, higher seas back through the Bahamas. The swells working in, dangerous rip currents up and down the east coast of Florida. And you see those seas building over 6 meters. We're looking at about 30 feet plus in spots as this really balloons into that major hurricane and then approaches Bermuda. This is by Friday into Saturday. This is Saturday, and you see it all across the western Atlantic. Very dangerous seas. And then we'll see if this system moves up toward Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, or hopefully takes more of those hooks that tries to stay away from us. I hope in a few days we're talking about a close call, but let's start with those at least initial planning in Canada and clearly making those preps in Bermuda. So here's the tail end of that action today. Even in the Dominican Republic, we may get scraped by a few showers and storms, but lifting up to the north, heaviest weather off to the east of the Turks and Caicos and southern Bahamas. Elsewhere, scattered showers and storms. Now, that other tropical wave, not really showing up too much here, but it is going to start to give us a better chance of some scattered showers and storms by the time we get into Friday. I'll monitor for any signs of development, but not seeing that. And then out here, a lot of action over toward the eastern Pacific, but not seeing anything that is trying to develop at this point. Now, up toward the Atlantic region of Canada, here's that front that's giving us some rain in Bermuda today. Some spotty showers and storms, so as you start to think about your preps, especially if you're right along the coast, we'll watch out for a few showers and storms the next few days. Tomorrow, though, depending on where this goes or looks to be going, we may be in full preparation mode, but make some of those initial plans, kind of set the stage for action time as we go through today. So Jamaica, we're looking at about a 30% chance of some isolated showers and storms. We may get a passing shower storm in the Cayman Islands today. Rain chance Trinidad and Tobago the next couple days, 30 to 40% chance, 30 to 40% chance in Barbados. And we're looking at the same thing as we work our way back towards St. Lucia, up to a 50% chance on Friday. That rain chance on Friday a little higher. That's that blob that I'm watching. That is just to the east of the Caribbean. So Grenada, rain chance will bump up some on Friday. And we see that as well as we work our way from St. Vincent and the Grenadines up through Martinique and Dominica. Rain chance isolated today, but it will be getting higher. Dominica, 50% chance on Friday. 30 to 40% chance the next couple days in Guadeloupe. Now as we work our way toward Antigua and Barbuda, still on the breezy side. Rain chance, though, way down with Ernesto, trying to leave the picture. Same thing, St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, Anguilla and St. Bart's, 20 to 30% chance of rain. 40% today, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, as we assess some of the damage, some of the flooding that some of us have had around. Rain chance, of course, Puerto Rico is highlighting that. Watching those rain bands for today. Dangerous conditions with the flooding. Same thing, U.S. and British Virgin Islands as Ernesto is trying to leave. Rain chance stays low today across the Bahamas. 20 to 30% chance in the next couple in the Turks and Caicos, and a few isolated showers. So we may get clipped by one of these bands back toward the Dominican Republic. 20 to 30% chance in Haiti. Rain chance in Belize. We could have a few showers and storms. 40% chance. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, mainly dry. About a 20% chance as we get into Friday in Curacao. 30 to 40% chance as we get back toward Guyana, and about a 40% chance today in Suriname, down to a 20% chance tomorrow and Friday. Isolated to scattered showers and storms in Cuba, a little more widespread as we get toward Costa Rica and Panama. Not all of us get them, though. Nicaragua, 30 to 50% chance, and a 30 to 40% chance in Honduras, and even 60% chance the next 3 days, Guatemala and El Salvador. 50 to 60% chance as we get back toward Mexico City, and a 40 to 50% chance. Could see some scattered showers. Yucatan and Mexico, 30 to 40% chance in Colombia. Parts of Colombia have had flooding over the last few days. Northern Venezuela, 30 to 40% chance. The rain chance high in Bermuda with that front around that is actually helping to pull Ernesto in the direction of Bermuda. Now, major flooding impacts, that's going to continue today. British, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Ernesto getting stronger. Winds are easily going to get up there, 120 to about 130 with those higher gusts, and that poses a major threat for Bermuda. And then monitoring a couple spots, obviously, in Canada that I was highlighting, and the coast of Africa with those new tropical waves coming off. So if you can't do so safely, let me know how you did during the storm. I've been with you a lot over the years, so I recognize a lot of your handles, your names, and all that stuff. So I would love to know how you're doing safely, of course, and know that we are thinking of you. Have a good and safe rest of your day.